Mr. Barr, I see you have staying power, but I see it runs in the family, and particularly your grandson. I'd like to send a little care package down to him. He deserves a medal.
We'll get that to her. There you go.
Thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
He doesn't have to share it with the rest of the family.
In 1994, you said that gun control is a dead end. It won't reduce the level of violent crime in our society. The year you made this comment, I introduced a federal assault weapons ban, and the president signed it into law. A 2016 study shows that compared with the 10-year period before the ban was enacted, the number of gun massacres between 94 and 04 fell by 37%, and the number of people dying from gun massacres fell by 43%. In addition, between 2004 and 2014, there has been a 183% increase in massacres and a 239% increase in massacre deaths. Do you still believe that prudent controls on weapons won't reduce violent crime? And if so, what is your basis for this conclusion?
I think that the problem of our time is to get an effective system in place that can keep dangerous firearms out of the hands of mentally ill people. That should be priority number one, and it's going to take some hard work, and we need to get on top of the problem. We need to come up with agreed-to standards that are prohibitors of people who are mentally ill. We have to put the resources in to get the system built up the way we did many years ago on the felon records and so forth. We have to get the system working, and as I say, it's sort of piecemeal a little bit right now. We need to really get some energy behind it and get it done, and I also think we need to push along the ERPOs so that we have these red flag laws to supplement the use of the background check to find out if someone has some mental disturbance. This is the single most important thing I think we can do in the gun control area to stop these massacres from happening in the first place.
Well, thank you. I'd like to work with you in that regard.
Yes.
Talk about China in the 5 minutes we have together. Back in 1992, there was some discussion about your position on Congress's role when it comes to banning certain types of semi-automatic weapons. Sometimes people call those assault weapons. But in the intervening years, the Supreme Court has now spoken in both the Heller and McDonald case and recognized that the Second Amendment confers an individual and fundamental right to bear arms. Could you sort of bring us up to date from your views in 1992 and how they were affected by Heller and McDonald and what your views now are on the Second Amendment?
Sure. I think I opposed an assault weapon ban because I felt that that was really sort of the aesthetics of the gun. And but, you know, since that time, Heller has been decided. Actually, before Heller, I did work at OLC on this issue, and I personally concluded that the Second Amendment creates a personal right under the Constitution. It's based on the Lockean notion of the right of self-preservation. It's tied to that. And I was glad to see Heller come out and vindicate that initial view that I had. And so there's no question under Heller that the right to have weapons is firearms is protected under the Second Amendment and is a personal right. At the same time, there's room for reasonable regulation. And you know, from my standpoint, what I would look for is in assessing a regulation is what's the burden on law-abiding people, and is it proportionate to whatever benefit in terms of safety and effectiveness will be conferred. As I said just a moment ago, let's get down to the real problem we're confronting, which is keeping these weapons out of the hands of people who are mentally ill. And I think all the rest of this stuff is really essentially rhetoric until we really get that problem dealt with in terms of regulatory approaches.
Well, as our colleague, the senator from Louisiana, Senator Kennedy, likes to say, the Bill of Rights is not an à la carte menu. And I agree with that. I also agree that there are many facets to these mass violence incidents. After the shooting at Sutherland Springs, we found out that the background check system, the National Instant Criminal Background Check system, was not being used appropriately by the U.S. government, in that case, the Air Force. And if it had been, this individual who killed 20 people, injured 26 more at a Baptist church right outside of San Antonio, would not have been able to legally get his hands on the firearm by lying. But certainly the mental health issue that you mentioned, we've done work there with
Fixed NICS.
in the fixed NICS area. We've also done expanded pilot programs on assisted outpatient treatment for people suffering from mental illness, recognizing that it's difficult for any family member to control, particularly an adult, but that providing an opportunity to go to court and get basically a civil order that would require them to comply with their doctor's orders, take their medication and the like. I'm thinking of Adam Lanza at the Sandy Hook shooting, whose mother did not know how to control him as he was getting more and more ill, and only to have him take her very weapon and then kill her and then go murder the innocent children. So, on China, do you agree with me that China